Hello, my friends. Thank you for being here. We're going to talk about the astrology from August 18th through August 24th. And thank you for those of you who are members over in Patreon, as well as you guys on YouTube. And if you are catching this on the last day of this weekly's forecast, it's because I do post it free on YouTube the very last day that it is valid. As you know, I want to encourage you to join us. I want you to see what you're missing. So please join us. That helps support me because this is my living. And then you get to use it in the way that is best for you. Let's get started. The first aspect I want to talk about, and I'll start talking while Zoom is deciding it will share the screen that I want it to share. That'll take a second. I want to talk about the aspect that you can see. There you go. There it is on the screen. We have Mercury sextile Mars. Now, if you were paying attention, or maybe you just know this, back on August 14th, Mercury made a sextile with Mars, right? But the reason, and it's happening again on the 18th of August. And that is kind of uncommon. And I had to look through and I had a little question mark over my head. Was this a mistake? Did I make a mistake here? And it's not, because on August 14th, when Mercury is in Leo, it's just finishing up its retrograde. So it's not moving that fast. It's kind of slow going. And Mars is moving quicker. And so that means Mars made it to the number that Mercury was at quicker. And so we had the first aspect, that first sextile between Mars and Mercury on August 14th. And now, just 4 days later, Mercury has picked up more speed, and now Mercury has caught up to where Mars is as far as the number. It's a sextile, so they're not in the same place, but they're the same number, 60 degrees apart. And so now that Mercury and Mars have caught up once again, because now Mercury is moving quicker. And so since we've had it going on since August 14th through August 18th, they've been pacing each other the whole time. It just gives us this opportunity to dig in a little bit deeper into the dialogue, into the communication that we're having. It just helps us to even speak just a little more clear. We have a little help from the moon being in Mercury's zodiac sign, the moon in Gemini on this day. So that Mercury rules that. So it's just a chance to speak up once again. So if you had something that you had to say or something that was going on the 14th, what day of the week was that? That was, excuse me, that was Thursday, August 14th. And then Monday, August 18th, through the whole time period really gives us a confidence. I'm going to have this up before the 14th anyways, for those of you in the membership platforms. So just know that there is big opportunities Thursday the 14th through August 18th between Mars and Mercury to communicate, to say what's on your mind. This is fabulous for creative writing. This is fabulous for working in tandem with others, initiating new partnerships, stuff like that. So really play with this and have fun with it, because that is something we don't see very often. All right. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen, because I don't know how this is. This little bugger is, yes, very good. Okay. So the next aspect that we have going on, I don't often talk about Chiron, but I will today. And the first aspect that we have on Tuesday is the sun making that trine aspect to Chiron. And you can see that right here. Here we are. All right. And when we have that coming together, those two together, the energy around that is about working towards like this having a healing component, right? That sun in Leo is about our creativity and, expressing what we're passionate about, what we desire. And that trine aspect with Chiron and Aries, Leo and Aries are both fire energy, fire signs. It's just like it gives us an opportunity to have some emotional healing. And we can do that through self-expression. So whatever we're passionate about, you can do it through, I don't know, dancing. You can do it through creativity. You can even do it through that prior aspect I just talked about, that Mercury energy, where, in Mercury in Leo, where the sun is in Leo, and we can speak up and talk how about the things that we need to talk about so we can engage in this really beautiful opportunity to express how we feel, express what we're passionate about, and really lean into some these healing components. So healing through taking those courageous steps, if you will, to speaking up, and or even just a healing component to doing and engaging in the things that you're passionate about. I know it's hard to feel for a lot of people. It is hard to feel creative and passionate and excited about things in life because the world is just a big hot mess, and it's stressful. But this is a real important opportunity, if you choose to take it, to be creative, to dig into what you desire, what you're passionate about, and that will help you have just this opportunity for some healing. It doesn't have to be anything overly serious, but it definitely is some personal healing that can happen with the aspect of the sun trine Chiron. The moon really far out of bounds when it's in Cancer. That means it's when it rises in out of the east every night, or whenever it does it. When it rises in the east, it is really very high north. It's not just east, it's northeast. This is what northeast looks like on this diagram. And so the moon in Cancer is always out of bounds. Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. Very high north, and it accentuates how we feel. And then the next aspect, as the moon moves through Cancer, the next day on Wednesday, the 20th, did I miss it? Did I miss a chart? Hold on. The sun in Chiron on the 19th. Here we are. No, I didn't. And here we go into the 20th. I've put this chart up for late in the day because there's no major planetary aspects that are exact. Only the moon is making some big aspects today. And so if you look at your ephemeris for Wednesday, the 20th, you're going to see the moon is in Cancer all until 7:17 p.m. Eastern time, but it goes void, of course, at 8:27 a.m. after the moon in Cancer makes its conjunction to Venus in Cancer. That would be right about at 24 degrees. So the moon on this day, on the 20th in Cancer, is out of bounds and working all on its own. And that creates a lot of emotional dynamic and a lot of sensitivity. So we do want to pay attention to how we're feeling and our sensitivities. Use the caring, nurturing tools that you have to take care of yourself first, take care of your family. If not everybody has to have this, but if there is something emotional, big and emotional showing up, okay? I'm going to get rid of Chiron now because I don't talk about him anymore. And I like to keep this nice and clean so you can see what I'm looking at too. Chiron is in Aries, and it's just been such a healing opportunity for all of us these days over the last, I think it's been near a year now that we've had Chiron in Aries, for us to really dig in deep as to what is what's healing components for you and I. We get to process that in our own way. Yeah. Okay, so the chart that's on the screen for Wednesday, August 20th, is the moon in the sign of Leo, and it'll be in Leo for just, let's see, just like a day and a half, because it is cruising. No, it's almost just under just 2 days. And so the moon will make a trine to Saturn. It will sextile Uranus, trine Neptune, and be opposite Pluto, all between 8:30 p.m. and 10:50 p.m. All right, this is all Eastern time because we have, look at all these planets are within 2 degrees. That is between 0 and 2 degrees. So that just means the moon is going to make a ton of different aspects. And when it does do that, the whole situation with that is that moon making those connections. It's like emotional flow, right? because the last aspect it makes is to Pluto, which is the end of the day, and that's transforming. So Moon trine Saturn gives us this opportunity to feel connected and supported. That's the Saturn aspect. The sextile to Uranus creates the energy of being open for unexpected opportunities, right? So that Moon in Leo and that Uranus in Gemini. So be open for, instant messaging, if you will. So sudden, out of the blue information. At 10 p.m., it makes that trine aspect then to Neptune, which softens the edge, gives us a chance to wind down and just, shake off the hard edges of the day, if there were any, and just sort of just flow into the evening. And in the evening, just before 11 p.m. is that the Pluto opposition, which is right here. I mean, it's already in play all day, but the exact opposition happens there. And that is an opportunity for however you started the day for you, even though it's just a matter of 12 hours, you get to see how things have evolved and transformed throughout the day. Gives us that chance to, just in a real short time frame, to see how things can shift and change, because we know anything can turn on a dime, good or bad. And we always think of the bad stuff, but I want you to remember that good things happen when we shift that way too. Now, next we have, I'm going to turn my light on. I'm doing this in the evening, excuse me. And I had enough light, but it's starting to set. There we go. The second day, because we actually have 3 days in this week that have no major planetary configurations. But on the 21st, Thursday the 21st, we still have the moon in Leo, sextiles Mars in Libra, and makes its conjunction to Mercury in Leo. And then it goes again, void of course, at 2:15 in the afternoon Eastern time zone. And so, am I on the right day? I am. And so what does that mean? Here it is. It's conjunct Mercury. And what else did I say? Yes, sextile Mars. There it is. It's super easy, nothing to it. It's just a little more of the energized energy of speaking up, feeling perfect time to express yourself. You can do it with passion and fire, or you can do it in a very heartfelt, warm way. You get to choose. You can just come at somebody and just start screaming and yelling because that's passion, or you can just come at somebody with your heartfelt desires and compassion as well, and not have it be ratcheted up into stress and anger, or it can be just what you desire from a very deep heartfelt place, a place of truth, a place to share your ideas, and a place to just really, I want us to think about the flow, the creative flow that this is, because we have so many planets, well, not so many, but we have 3 things in Leo right now. We're in the balsamic lunar phase. So it just tells me that this is an opportunity for you and I to be creative, but to let go of some of the blocks that keep us from expressing what we want, who we are, or, again, a creative thing, like painting, sculpting, just, I can't think of it. You think of the things that are creative for you, because we are all different. Mainly it can be words, because we'll talk about Mercury. But when Leo is involved, it's about being creative, physically creative in the things that are important for you. I can't tell you what that is, but you can know what that is. And if you really need to know these things, it's time you can take one of my beginner courses. I have 2 different things to choose from on my website. They're all automated. You can, once you purchase them, you have access to them forever. Until I die, I guess, until the website's gone, which is no time soon. So you have access to that, or you can just look at having a session, because that's my profession as well. Sun enters Virgo on the 22nd. So on the 22nd, let's flip over, and that is Friday the 22nd. The sun enters that last zodiac sign of the summer for the Northern Hemisphere, and the last sign of winter for you guys in the Southern Hemisphere, 4:34 p.m. Eastern time. With this energy, the sun in Virgo is pretty a-okay. I got to make sure I'm sharing the right screen still. Yeah, I am. Good. The sun in Virgo is pretty decent because it just gives us a chance to we shift out of the fiery Leo stuff, even though we still have Mercury there. And we're shifting during a balsamic lunar phase. We'll get to that in a minute. But, moving out of that creative energy into something that is a little more detail oriented, more grounded, gives us this opportunity to start focusing on the details of what's important in our lives and making that big adjustment. Virgo helps us notice what we need when it comes to our health and wellness, the everyday things that we do to keep ourselves healthy and well. It's about service to others, if that is part of your life. Sometimes we're too busy to engage in that, but if you do, that's wonderful. And being discerning but not judgmental. It's important to recognize that. And the next two new moons we have will be in Virgo, which is a very unique situation. It does happen on occasion. Sometimes it's a full moon. They call it a blue moon, but that's to me is a whole different story. That's another video. But I'll tell you about it in a second, this new moon that's coming up. But with that sun in Virgo, as we're in a balsamic lunar phase to begin with, it's about making sure you don't get stuck in that perfectionism, and letting go of that idea of being completely perfect or you can't do something, right? You see me flub up all the time. If I needed to be perfection, I would never do it because I mess up all the time. And so do we all. So that's our focus with this new moon, with the sun entering Virgo in the balsamic lunar phase. Lets me know that we have this opportunity to let something go. And I do believe it is let's use the best of Virgo as opposed to the things that are the shadow end of Virgo. Now, the light and the shadow are equally important, but since this sun is entering Virgo during the balsamic lunar phase, that is just something that I think we lean a little further into is like, let's not get too stuck on perfectionism, but we certainly can look at how we're practical and how we want to set up new habits, new patterns, new schedules, because it is about our everyday life, right? What we have next is the new moon in Virgo on August 23rd. Now that's at a different time of day, so it's down here. We were up there and the earth is spinning and the moon is moving. And now here's what a new moon looks like. This new moon is at 0 degrees of Virgo. And you can see that it's making a quincunx to Saturn, Neptune, as well as over here to Pluto. So this new moon is officially the tip of a yod, and it is a big one. It's about adjustments. It's major about adjustments and trying to get just trying to find the right path, but we can't be in a hurry when we deal with this pattern because this pattern is about finding our way one step at a time. And as I started to talk about a second ago, the new moon this month on August 23rd at 0 degrees of Virgo, I'm going to get into more of it in a second, is quite unique because on September 21st, we have a new moon at 29 degrees of Virgo, and that is also a solar eclipse. So we have two new moons in a row that are both in Virgo. And this one is in the first degree, the 0 degree. So that's a critical degree. And that means we are meant to put down our on paper, like make lists, do the details, get things in alignment for initiating and starting new patterns, new routines, things such as that. And it's just going to be really important with the quincunx aspect. First off, with the sun to Saturn. When we have that on the same day. The energy of that can stir up us, being too over analytical about what it is that we want to do. And this is why I was saying that I feel that this is really important that we take deliberate steps, but we don't push too fast when it comes to setting intentions and judging the day, right? I know we all judge our new moons. We all use our new moons and we set intentions and we do ritual, and we can't judge what the day is like as to how that whole new moon energy is going to manifest, because this new moon in the long lunar gestation cycle of 3 years is initiating something for you to make a big unique change for yourself, okay? And the quincunx aspect to Saturn, as well as Neptune, as well as Pluto, between the sun and the moon, is all creating this big opportunity for us to make some initial intentions and then use that as a guideline, but not as a barrier, because we need to be able to be flexible. That's what this yacht is about. That's what the quincunx aspects are about. They are not about, they don't work with each other at all. It is about taking a couple of steps forward, making a couple of decisions, and then hitting pause, evaluating where you are, taking a look around, evaluating the situation, and then deciding what the next step is. We rarely know what the outcome of something is when we have this pattern in the sky. And since we have this new moon, since it's a new moon at 0 degrees of Virgo, and it bookended in a month from here at a solar eclipse at 29 Virgo. Telling you, this is an incredibly important time period for you and me to pay attention to what we need in just our day-to-day life, because this feels critical in a sense that our day-to-day activities is what's going to be important, as opposed to the big picture right now. So important. And again, I just think about what's going on as currently in the country, just in the country. It's happening in the world, though. It's not just here in the USA, but it certainly is my highlight, since is where I live. But the energy of this is for you and me. It's our everyday thing. That is going to be the most important thing. And I'll do my best to go deeper into this in the separate new moon forecast, which I intend to have up the same week that I post this to you guys at the membership platforms. All right, so the new moon is right there. Here is the day at August 23rd at 7 in the morning is when the moon is starting to move on. You can see the yacht is separating a little bit, but now it really looks like we have this double yacht going on here, and we do. And so many planets, 6 planets between 0 and 3 degrees. It's just, we are initiating a lot of new things while we are simultaneously don't know what the clear path is forward. We don't. Sun, quincunx, Saturn right there. That's the exact aspect in that top left-hand corner. You can see that. Sun, quincunx, Saturn. I'm going to read my notes for you because I wrote them for some reason, that reason. We need to take our careful steps. We need to be deliberate. We need to make sure we're not pushing hard or fast. That's the Aries energy, because this energy is mismatched between Aries and Virgo. It is not matched as well as mismatched between Aries and between Virgo and Aquarius. They don't have anything in common. So we want to analyze things, and we want to take our time, like I said, a couple steps forward and pause, because if we try to go too fast, we're going to feel frustrated or stuck. And that is what it happens because we've just taken it too far, too fast. We got to go slow with this. We get through it easily, but we have to go through it slowly. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. Let's put it that way. The next is Oh, yeah, we're going to shift for a second. Is the sun makes a square aspect to Uranus. We'll shift for a second and then we'll go back to the other quincunxes because this happens. This is August 24th at 3:15 a.m. Eastern time on the 24th, and that is the sun making that square aspect to Uranus. I don't mind the Virgo Gemini square. It's a mutable square. Those two signs are mutable. So if anything is with Pisces or Sag, the mutable signs when they're square and opposite each other to me is not a difficult. However, the sun in Virgo, we're just getting used to it. We've only been in here for a day and a half, and we're like, all right, that's a bad habit. I need to change this. What can I do to slowly, this is my process, to slowly sneak up on myself so I can break this bad habit or so I can create a new habit. It doesn't always have to be about ending an old habit, but that's just two examples. You may want to break an old habit, and so you're trying to figure out what steps you can take to process and start to change a habit that you don't like, and or to initiate a new pattern, a new habit, right? This is Virgo in its purest form, because Virgo is purest form, daily activities. It could be about your health. It could be about your wellness. It could be about your day job. It could be about your coworkers. It's about the things you do every day. Those activities. Okay. That's the Virgo. Let me see. So feeling pulled in a lot of different directions for a couple of days while the new moon and then the sun finishes these exact aspects as quincunxes. Yes, we're going to feel pulled in a few different ways. If you have in chaos, the chaos theory tends to create change that we're not comfortable with, but we're ready for. So we can expect that too. Yeah, it brings us all these different opportunities to us, so we're able to really get in alignment with that. And I think that's it for the week, but it's not. No, it's not. It can't be. Let's get this out. And there's a couple more. Terrific. Oh, yeah, I can see right here. Duh. All right. Next, we come back to the sun making its quincunx aspect to Neptune. That's not too much later from the sun squaring Uranus and the sun quincunxing Saturn, because Saturn and Neptune are really close. They're 1 minute apart. And it just takes the sun a little while to get there. So that sun in Virgo, quincunx Neptune in Aries. And here is about like, what are my hopes and dreams? That Neptune. What steps do I want to take? That's Aries to meet those hopes and dreams. And how can I do it? And that would be the sun in Virgo. But again, I'll reiterate and I'll say almost the same thing. It's like we need to just take those steps, write that stuff down. If you want to just journal it out for a couple of days, just on how you feel and what you're doing, that it might be a better way to use this Virgo new moon as opposed to just bullet points. But then again, do bullet points, do a big title of whatever it is you want to do for your new moon intentions. And then do a few bullet points, but leave space underneath and start and so you have room to write out what you think about that. So here's the big goal. I want to change this habit. Let's say you want to stop drinking. I want to stop drinking. And then you can put steps on how you can do it. And then as we move further and further into the week, you can journal on that, meditate on it, and journal on it. And that will give you the opportunities to find those adjustments that you need over the next few days while this yod and these quincunxes are, working their way through the system. And then here is the sun when it quincunxes Pluto. And when we have that, again, Pluto is the last aspect of this batch, this quincunx batch, and part of the yod. And so that means that the undercurrents of what's going on is just bringing things, it can potentially bring things to the surface for us to work around, to create self-discipline, to help us evolve and transform whatever we need, whatever is transitioning in our lives. This is an opportunity for that transition. It really is. So this aspect these aspects, these yods, these quincunxes, and the yod pattern is really here to help us to maybe alleviate the pressure of perfectionism, but use that Virgo energy. I've already said this, but use that Virgo, the components of what Virgo is to, become a little more logical, a little more grounded, do some practical things, just everyday stuff. This does not have to be big spiritual woo-woo anything. It's about the daily practice of spirituality, the daily practice of groundedness, the daily practice of how every day is a day of an opportunity and how we change and evolve and transform. That's what this is all about. And that, I think, is where we'll stop. And that's at 4 p.m. So let me reiterate, let me just recap the last 2 days. So we had the new moon, the sun entered Virgo on the 22nd, and we have the new moon at 0 degrees of Virgo. It's at 2 a.m. Eastern time on the 23rd. So you guys on the West Coast get it at near midnight. And then the night before, and then the sun as well as the new moon is in that yod pattern with, so it's three actually, quincunxes with Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto. All the while, Uranus is in the game too. Let me show you. Can I show you? I will show you. So you can see we have the sun and the moon. We're going to get rid of. We're going to have Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. We're just going to get rid of all of these so you can see, select. Did I do it? Good job. I did. See how it's funny over there. And the moon isn't here anymore, but let's go back to the new moon. And let's go back to the new moon. And let's go back to the new moon. And let me hit redraw. There you go. So here's that new moon. And you can see the yod right there. You can see the sextile between. And all of these guys are relating, because all 5, 6 of these are within, Jesus, what's the biggest number here? Is 1 degree and 56 minutes. So I know it's like a kind of lopsided, but there's the yod. It's the quincunx in 2 different directions. And this is really, it is so significant. And then on the 21st, when we have the new moon solar eclipse at 29 degrees, I'll go grab that at 29 degrees of Virgo. Here it is. That's like a big kite in the sky. And, all of these guys at 29, this is about a completion of sorts as well as a beginning. So they're both really similar. So I'm going to go deeper into that in the next forecast. This is a solar eclipse, so that'll be a separate forecast as well. And I am going to leave us with that. I know that was a lot. I realize that. And I'm processing it still too, because there's so much information with that new moon in Virgo, doing the quincunxes, the yod pattern. It is both. That chart is both. And it just creates it can create a lot of discord, because, we want clear answers. We want to make choices, and we want to make choices that feel good and clear. And sometimes we can't. So we make choices based off of what's going on in our current life right now. And since it's Virgo, I'll reiterate one more time, it's about your everyday activities. It's not about the long game right now. It just isn't. And even if there are things in your life that have to be about the long game, you'll find your answers in the present moment. And that is going to be the key to this. So finding your answers in the present moment. I like that. So I love when things just come up. Finding your answers. Yeah, if I write this down, you might see this as the title to the new moon forecast, right? Yeah. And I think that is really key. So don't forget that. I want you to do that. I'm writing it down. There we are. All right. Thank you guys. And for those of you who aren't members, thank you for when you get this for free. I'm sorry you didn't get to see the whole week. A few people complaining about that, but just come and join. It's $10 a month. I mean, I appreciate it. I really do. And it helps support this work. And it supports you too. Blessings, everybody. Namaste.